Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at Oranguru with the new move Trailblaze in the Retro Cup. I kind of want to try out the Retro Cup just because it's available. It's going to be also available for the next week, so let's take a look at this. I stole a team from my Shock's Discord server, so like nothing that's like really open for anybody. But as seen earlier, was playing this team and I was like saying, yeah, maybe I want to try this one out as well. And so now I stole the team around Oranguru, and this definitely worked out pretty well for me. As you're going to see at the end as well, is they're going to be able to still go for one Brave Bird against the opponent. Going to see that the opponent going to let this move go through. This is a cool thing about Pidgeot. A lot of people did not really expect me to go for Brave Bird. And you know my content, I am kinda known for going for a lot of baits, but honestly, I didn't do it that often with my Pidgeot today, and it was really working out well for me, so definitely something that I most likely should do more often as well, just go straight for the big move. Here's how we're gonna get the attack drop, which actually kinda matters a little bit, because like this, our foul play is going to do way less damage. Of course, Oranguru is honestly such a safe swap in this meta. There's nothing that really wants to go into it, but here again, we can go for another Brave Bird with our Pidgeot and go for the big boom, getting the knockout against the Cresselia, and we have our Swampert, the opponent Swamp here now against our Machamp, and Machamp was a lot of fun. I have to say, I feel like Machamp was a little bit of the weak point for this team, but let's move on to the next one because this was an easy win. Still, this team was amazing. Like, this team definitely worked out really well for me. Next opponent, we're going to have a Talonflame in the lead. And again, we can try to go ahead and go for a Brave Bird immediately here, because a lot of them just expect you to go for the bait, and they do as well. And so the Talonflame is going to go down. They're going to have the Executor in the back, which is, of course, a little bit of a spicier one. Honestly, I would love to see an Executor having a little bit more play. Therefore, we kind of need a new charge move for Grass-type Pokemon, which in my opinion is something that we kind of need as well. I mean, yeah, Leaf Blade is a really good one, but other than, of course, Friendly Plant, there's no real great Grass-type move that's like a little bit cheaper. So, would love to see that for especially the Executor, especially now where the Seed Bomb got nerfed a few seasons ago. This Pokemon sadly does kind of suck, so I wish that this Pokemon would be a little bit better. Honestly, we can still go for a Feather Dance here against the opponent's Hitmontop here, gonna get the debuff onto them. And I still think I can survive a move because they are double debuffed, and yes, I can still get to another Feather Dance. Gonna get them to 3 debuffs because they just buffed themselves with the Icicle, what's it called? I don't even know. Triple Axle. Let's move on to the next one because this is going to be a win. Next opponent, we're going to encounter here Pidgeot against the Grotle. Great lead for us. A lot of interesting leads here for sure, but sadly we don't really have the best answer for Galvantula. But still, we're going to have our Oranguru here, which is going to have a great time as we can still just go for a charge move with our Oranguru. They're going to have 2 moves in, and honestly, I was thinking that this was not fast enough, but I was not really wanted to risk it here. But yes, it was just a cross poison, so could have let this move go through. I thought it already at this point of time, but still going to be fine. We can realign. We're going to get out the Grotle. Not sure how much cross poison would have done, but I think I would have been able to get out of this matchup with the exact amount of shields as the opponent as well. But still, we're going to get them low now, and I can go for the full farm down with my Pidgeot as they decide to go for their own charge move. Body Slam comes through. Let's see what they're going to have in the back. It's going to be a Runerigas, and the opponent has a double weakness now against the Pidgeot, which is amazing for us as they're going to go for the Sand Tomb. I'm just going to go again straight for the Brave Bird and straight a hit again, which is just amazing for me. I just swap out just in case they have something else to clear my debuffs, and now the opponent has nowhere to go. And this is going to be a very easy game with our Machamp now. Move on to the next game. Let's see what they are going to run here. We're going to have the Pidgeot against an Arctibax. This is going to be okay for us, but yeah, you could argue of stopping out here earlier. We need 7 fast moves, which is actually 14 turns, which would be not enough for them to get to an actual charge move. So I could have just went for the Brave Bird and would have let the move go through. They need one, I think, yeah, they need one more turn to get to their charge move, to their Icy Wind or Avalanche. But yeah, as you can see here, the opponent going to have a Mew in the back, which is actually a very interesting Pokemon, which I kind of want to take a look at as well, but for the Open Great League. But most likely not this week, maybe the next week when we have the Great League back again. I feel like Mew has a lot more play this season than in the seasons prior, even though Medicham is a little bit less common, but just really good for the coverage that is currently needed. Here we should be able to outspeed them to a move. I think that's just going to be a Dragon Claw again, and so I can just go for a charge move, but I decide to swap out, and sadly we're just going to get completely hardballed this game. And there's not a lot that I can do here. Speaking of Medicham not being too common, it's kind of funny that we're going to encounter it here. But Mew is a very strong Pokemon right now for sure. Definitely something to look out for. as we can see that we're gonna get the shield from the opponent. I can still go for the Rock Slide. I think we missed a few fast moves there because of the lag, but it doesn't really matter anyway, because I would need to go to 2 charge moves anyway. I can still go for the Feather Dance, hoping that I can get the knockout here, but I don't even do this, and I can go for a Dynamic Punch. And so this is going to be sadly a loss, but we can move on to the next one. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have a Dragonair in the lead. This is going to be a little bit of a trickier one as well, so we decide to swap out immediately into our Oranguru. The opponent going to outspeed me to the charge moves, but I can still withstand a lot of them. Oranguru is fairly bulky, and honestly the typing is so good in the current meta because there are no dark types, there are no steel types. I would not use this Pokemon as a Saysop, by the way, in the open meta, but in this meta it is really strong. Here we can still go for a Foul Play, which is going to come in handy because we're gonna get the opponent fairly low with that, and I can just go into my Pidgeot now, which is I should be able to just take a move. I don't think they're going to go for a Brave Bird here, so I'm just going to let the first move go through. And so I can try to go for the Feather Dance, hopefully get the shield from the opponent. Let's see what they're going to do here. They're going to let this move go through as well, which is a little bit awkward. I can still use a shield here. Yes, they're going to be debuffed, and yes, it's going to be just a Flame Charge, but still I kind of want to keep my health, and sadly they're going to have the Jellicent in the back. And again, I feel like this was like such an awkward one. If we kept alignment somehow, like most I would have been a little bit better off, but again, Dragonite lead was a little bit tricky to deal with, and here we are also not going to have the greatest time. I can still go for a Rock Slide, but we are not going to really get to enough energy with our Pidgeot here. I mean, he's kind of in Brave Bird range, which is kind of nice, but yeah, I'm just going to use a shield here. I have to overform by quite a bit if I still want to win this game, but they already have 2 moves stored anyway, and so it's going to be sadly a loss, but we can move on into the next game. Next opponent coming through, let's see what they're going to run here. We're going to encounter the Pidgeot against the Cresselia. Fairly okay lead for us, it's not as great, but I can basically force them to swap out, I think, because I can go straight for the Feather Dance, and Feather Dance is going to allow us to take those moves really, really easy. And so, as you can see here, I can just going to let this move go through, and I can still go for a Brave Bird afterwards as well, which is going to be very nice, but I'm going to wait until they're going to throw first. And as you can see, I can let this move go through. It doesn't really do too much damage, and the opponent decides to swap out into the Lantern, and now we can finally take a look at Trailblaze on Oranguru, which you haven't actually seen that much yet, because it's not really as basically simple to use as Greedent, where Greedent gets to the move like every, I don't know, 6 fast moves, so yeah, it takes a little bit longer to get there, basically. And we're gonna see here that we can just get the attack buff, which is kinda nice. And you're going to let this Thunderbolt go through, we can still take it, and we can farm them all the way down. They're going to swap out into, let's see what they're gonna go into. They're gonna go into the Lickitung, allowing me to go for another Trailblaze, buffing my own attack, and so my confusion damage is going to add up as well. As well as you can see here that the opponent is already very, very low. Sadly, I'm not gonna get to another move, but at least I'm going to have my great answer in the back of the Machamp. Machamp is a little bit squishy though, so it's not going to be as ideal. I have to swap out into my Pidgeot here. The opponent is going to let this move go through, luckily fourth, but they're going to decide to now go for their own charge move here. I'm going to keep my shield just in case I need it for my Machamp match up against the opponent's Lickitung. Let's see if we can still win this. If they have 2 moves, I'm going to lose this battle here. Do they have 2 moves? Let's take a look at this. They do not, and so we can win this game and we can move on to the next one. Next opponent, we're going to have another Talonflame, and you know exactly what we're going to do here. By the way, if the opponent is going to shield the Brave Bird, what you want to do is you can just swap out immediately into the Oranguru and just take whatever move they're going to go for. But luckily for me, my opponents are always over-predicting, and so we were going to have a better time here for us. We're going to see the Dragon-type Pokemon coming in there as well, and they're going to go into the Jellicent. I was like so sad that I was not going for the Trailblaze now, and now Trailblaze is kind of not necessary. So yeah, it's a little bit of an issue for us because, yeah, again, we can just go for the Foul Play, which is better, but I'm still gonna go for the Trailblaze just for the fun, and we're gonna be able to get the attack buff here as the opponent decides to use a shield. But there is no reason for me to shield any move up here, because I know that my Pidgeot is going to be my most valuable Pokemon, allowing me to farm down this Ghost type. I can even let the move go through if I wanted to. I'm not going to do this here, but I can now basically use my other shield against the opponent's Altaria as well, trying to go for 2 Brave Birds, and this should be basically a game with that one as well. You can go for the first Brave Bird. Brave Bird is coming through, going to get a ton of damage against them if they would let it go through, but they're going to use their shield, and so the next Brave Bird has to seal the deal here. Is it going to be enough? It is enough, and we can swap out into the Machamp, allowing us to farm down the Ghost type, and we can move on into the next game. Next opponent is going to be Dr. Strange here. Let's see what they're going to run. A great lead for us is going to be a Venusaur. They swap out immediately into the Lantern, allowing me to align my Machamp. Machamp is going to outspeed the opponent by 1 fast move every time. Here it's going to be a CMP type because we had to swap out first. But as you can see, I can use a shield and I can realign. And I don't actually really care too much if the opponent is going to shield this next one or not, because both of my Pokemon are going to be good against Venusaur. So I'm going to let this move go through. There's no reason for me to shield this move up and go shields down, because I don't need switch advantage if I have a Pokemon that has especially Brave Bird here, but also a Pokemon in the back that's going to be good against the Venusaur as well. At least that's what I thought. And so that's why I went for the Brave Bird here. And yeah, Shadow Shiny Charizard might be a little bit of an issue, especially as this matchup is not as clear as I want it to be. And so the opponent has so much energy on their Charizard already that this might be a little bit of an issue. I thought I would be able to still get to a foul play here. I am not able to. And as you're going to see, the opponent has 2 Blast Burns stored, and so I'm going to lose this game here and we can move on to the next one. Honestly, those are games where I sometimes feel like I don't even know what really went wrong there, but I guess just Charizard being a little bit too bulky. And also me maybe not going for the bait then against the Charizard, but still, honestly, I don't know. Was kind of wild. But here we're going to see the Arctibax. Again, I could have stayed in and just went for a Brave Bird. It doesn't really matter too much. I always going to lose CMP, which is actually good for the case if you want to go for Brave Bird. But they're never going to be able to reach an Icy Wind or the Avalanche in time. So it doesn't really make too much sense what I did here and swap out immediately into my Oranguru. But this is something that you learn if you play a team for a little bit longer. So I would also recommend you, if you know your team does make sense on paper, it should counter the Pokemon that you're going to encounter as well. Sometimes just those few matchups that you kind of have to learn a little bit on how to play around them in order to win a game, which are really important. Here we're going to go up against the Cresselia, which is a little bit tricky, but they're going to swap out now into the Toxapex, and it's going to be a little bit of a tough one here, but we're going to be able to still go ahead and go for the Feather Dance. Gonna get the double attack drop onto the opponent, and I can let this next move go through, and luckily they decide to go for the Brine, which is amazing for us because it does basically next to no damage, allowing me to go up to 100 energy. Going for the Brave Bird now is gonna get a ton of damage onto them. I want to swap out. I swap out with a charge move stored. I can use a shield here as well against the opponent, farm them all the way down here, and should be able to still reach a Rock Slide in time. Let's see, we can reach a Rock Slide, and with this I think I'm going to be fine here. I definitely win CMP tie with a Pidgeot against them, and as you can see here, counter is getting them lower and lower. They're even gonna go for a charge move here with a Grass Knot. And so this Brave Bird is coming through, gonna get the knockout, and we can win this second to last game. Last game coming up, so let's see what the opponent is going to have here. We're going to have the Pidgeot against the Vigoroth. Pretty awkward matchup for us now because they're running Rock Slide, of course, and so I decided to catch the Rock Slide onto my Oranguru. I feel like this was definitely the play to go for because Rock Slide would have been super effective and they would have got there at the exact same time, and they decided to swap out into the Charizard. And this time around, I'm sure this is just a Dragon Claw. They needed one more fast move to get to another move, so I am totally happy about this, as I can go for another charge move here. Foul play is gonna get shielded, and they are going to be able to farm me down, which is a little bit awkward, but I mean, I'm still okay. Here I thought actually of going into my Machamp, but I decided to just try to go for the full farm here onto my Pidgeot, but let's see. Actually, I'm gonna still go for a charge move because I have so much energy, and so I will be able to get the knockout against the opponent. They swap out into a Lantern, which is a little bit of an issue, but you might see it here already, and this is something that I find interesting. I feel like my, I don't know, my win rate is not as bad. Of course, we had the Samurott recently, which also, I went positive, I think, in total with every team that I showcased so far. So, seeing something like the maybe Charge Beam Lantern here was something that they just built and was oh, they forgot about the fast move to change. I don't know. Could be the case here, but we're going to be able to win this game because of this. I feel like it would have been way closer otherwise, so definitely keep this in mind. But this team definitely still works out pretty well, as we can knock them out here and we can claim a 5-0 set here in the end as well, which kind of showcases on how strong this team is in the Retro Cup. So we also even got an Rare XL candy. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.